So they could make money, you know, in semi-final. I mean, it's the team that wins the league.
We're into the playoffs in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership. 4 teams and 3 games to decide who will be crowned Scottish champions. And what better way to kick things off than with an Edinburgh derby between 2 fierce rivals, Heriots and Watsonians. All the action coming to you live from Goldenacre. Kick-off at 4:10. Well, good afternoon and thank you for joining us here at Goldenacre for the first of our playoff matches in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership. The 4 teams who lead the way after the 22 regular league fixtures now take part in a dogfight for the title, with 2 semi-finals and a final over the next 3 weeks. The top placed Ayr face defending champions Curry at Millbrae on the 19th of April in the second semi-final. But we kick things off here with what should be a hugely entertaining match between the second and third placed teams, Edinburgh rivals Heriots and Watsonians. Just confirmation there of the 2 playoff semi-finals today here at Goldenacre. Heriot's Rugby, home advantage courtesy of that second place finish up against old Edinburgh rivals Watsonians. And then in a fortnight at Millbrae, Ayr up against Curry Chieftains, the holders. So let's have a look at the 2 sides, starting with the home team, Heriots, and both sides filled with former Super Series players. Chris Keane, Michael Linus and Ewan McLaren in the front row, Patrick Spence and Jamie Campbell in the second row, and Captain Rory Leishman joined in the back row by old campaigner Jason Hill and Rory Kirkpatrick. Half-backs, Freddie Gibson and Ross Jones, centre pairing of Angus Hunter and Thomas Glendinning, and a back 3 with Dan King at fullback, Zach Ross and George Cool on the wings. And for the visitors, Watsonians, Craig Davidson, Matt Pritchard and ex-Boroughmuir Bear Martin McGinley in the front row, Quagga van Niekerk and Lewis Ball in the second row, and co-captain Neil Irvin Hess at number 8 with Seb Cecil and schoolboy Xander McTaggart in the back row. An experience at half-back Conor McAlpine alongside the other co-captain, former Edinburgh pro Jason Bagot. Centre pairing of Dom Coetzer and Ronan Kerr, and in the back 3, Loman McPherson, Xander Walls on the wings with Freddie Owsley riding the pace from fullback. Well, waiting on the sides coming out, let's get the thoughts of the man alongside me in commentary this afternoon, Dale Clancy.
Yeah, it's been a long campaign for both of these sides, and they've got 1 apiece in the regular league fixtures. But you know, it's been a matter of managing their squads until this point as well. This is where the margins are a lot finer. The squads and the quality in both sides is a lot closer. You know, in some games they probably won at a canter, but it's knockout rugby now, and we've seen in guises before how teams who perhaps come into a game like this as favourites, which Heriots perhaps are home advantage. They've got the league position as well. It counts for not a lot when it comes to this stage.
Yes, as you mentioned, teams have already met twice this season. Watsonians winning 29 points to 21 at Millar last October in what was another one of our live games. So Heriots prevailed by 42 points to 20 here at Goldenacre back in January. So, as you say, Dale, Heriots probably considered favourites today with advantage, but I think my only prediction is that we'll be thoroughly entertained by 2 sides who love to play expansive rugby. Referee this afternoon, David Young. And it looks like it will be Watsonians to kick off, playing from right to left as we watch from our commentary position in the back of the stand, and conditions here absolutely perfect.
There's a little bite in there, a bit of wind at pitch side as well, and with players likes of Bagot and King and Ross Jones, they'll be wanting to try and use that wind to their advantage in this game and get their team in good positions, and both teams will be hoping for a good positive start.
Well, Jason Bagot, the Watsonians co-captain, the man to ignite the match, sends that high down towards the 22, taken by Jason Hill, the old campaigner in that Heriots back row. Out to Chris Keane. Started out down at Kelso. Heriots right through the Super Series. Stuck with the club side, and then Freddie Gibson sends that ball down over halfway. Freddie Owsley well placed out to Bagot again.
Okay, keep moving, Watson.
Down towards Dan King, fullback.
Inside.
And Dan King started out his rugby career at Stumell College as an 8-year-old. Played a bit at Curry. Wearing the number 15 jersey today for Heriots.
It's a brilliant exit from the ex-Scotland under-20s player. It was a really tight angle, and he's judged that perfectly to get it into the Watsonians' half. Positive start from the Heriots. They were able to control the ball when they received it. You know, not really invite any errors. And look what it ends up doing as well. They get further up the pitch. The arrows go a bit askew there from Pritchard at hooker for Watsonians. So it's a great territorial gain for Heriots.
Yes, Mark Pritchard not quite right with the first throw of the day, so
Happy? Yep.
of a scrum.
Listen for the calls.
15 metres in from the stand side touchline, just on the Watsonian side of halfway, and all the Heriots back division strung off to the left.
All bound, all bound. Crouch.
Freddie Gibson wearing the number 9 jersey. Ross Jones, 33 years old now, former Osprey Rotherham player. Played under 20s for Wales and Sevens. So again, lots of experience.
Out.
And out it goes to Jones. And he finds, is that Glendinning perhaps, just angling back in towards the traffic. Try and hold that Watsonians defence in the midfield, and then stabbed through by Jones. It's about the bounce of the ball, and it's been snapped up by Heriots, and this will be the opening try. Zach Ross.
Number 14.
Well, no, it come back. The referee was playing advantage. Heriots offside. Zach Ross, I think, unaware as he touched that ball down, and Watsonians survive.
Yeah, really good shape from Heriots from that passage of play, just creeping a little bit too far in front. You know, kind of got just a bit of an obstacle in front of us, but when they were ducking down to try and see that run, you could see they were just getting a little bit flat. Jones, when he was travelling with the ball, was going a little bit laterally across the pitch. The outside backs herring forward and just snuck in front, and you know, Watsonians can breathe a sigh of relief because that bouncing ball really did catch out their back three there, and Heriots could have been the first scorers in this game, but it means it turns again, the penalty to Watsonians, and they can now start to have an attack towards this Heriots half.
Line with me. You're good here. Okay. It's good, Bob.
Shows you how powerful that wind is as well. Bagot, an accomplished kicker, he's only made about 15 metres there from that kick. You can see the flag fluttering in the wind, so it's going to be challenging out there.
The throw again, not quite as accurate as it needed to be. It was tapped back by Watsonians, but then snaffled by Heriots, and here go the home side again through the inside centre. Angus Hunter. Up over halfway goes former Ayrshire Bull Thomas Glendinning. Gibson sweeps that ball out to the forwards. Jones again.
Release!
The tackle by Xander McTaggart. Back to Dan King in there at first receiver, fullback. And Rory Kirkpatrick, the open side flanker, and Heriots making good ground here up towards the Watsonians 22, Jason Hill, as he's done all his career carrying hard. Gibson out to Jones again, Dan King. And the ball put through by Angus Hunter. He just got a bit too much on that. We'll come back for the line out, but Heriots looking good with ball in hand in the early stages of this game.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised they put boot to ball there, because you could see them hugging the touchline there when, you know, Kirkpatrick was flagging here on the touchline. The Watsonian defence is just sitting a little bit deeper, so it was a matter of just eat as much ground as possible, because, you know, they've been carrying ball with a lot of intent, a lot of pace, a lot of power. So I'm surprised they put boot to ball there, because it's just coughed up possession. But they certainly look good when they've got the ball in hand. They're marching this Watsonians defensive line back.
Pritchard to Seb Cecil. It's a third line out for Watsonians. Finally worked, and it's with Conor McAlpine. Back they go to the right.
Ducking down. Release.
Ball on the Watsonians 10-metre line. McAlpine
Yeah, he's fine.
having to fight very hard to get this ball back, and Heriot's
Number 1 count.
having a real go at the breakdown there, trying to get that ball back, and they've won themselves a penalty.
He's pulled it back with his foot. You
Yeah,
can't.
certainly the early stages of this game, 5 minutes old, the Heriots have shown a little bit more muscle than what Watsonians have. They've had a really powerful scrum, carrying with the ball in hand. They've been able to march Watsonians back, and you can see what a fight that was on the floor as well at that breakdown. You don't see that often, a team carrying, taking the ball in, and then the opposition just being able to just power their way over and make a nuisance of themselves. And it gives them a chance to try and get into this 22, which Jones gratefully receives and punts the ball off inside the Watsonians 22.
Yeah, so we get a sense of the direction that wind's coming there as well, because he was across the other side of the pitch from where we are on the stand side, but opted to kick towards this side. And Heriot's looking to impose themselves early through the driving maul. Jason Hill will station himself as the +1 at this line out. Chris Keane passing on the instructions to Michael Linus. His final season. Nice that he will hang up his boots at the end of this season. That one doesn't work either, and the wind will maybe cut the hookers a bit of slack, because both sides finding it difficult from the sidelines. With Conor McAlpine sends that a long way back to Jason Bagot.
Yep.
It's a good clearing kick by the Watsonians fly half.
Yeah, I think we were praising Dan King's exit earlier on in the 22, and I think on the balance of what we've seen so far, he had a bit of an advantage with the way that the wind is flowing here.
Yeah, he's coming.
That's a good exit from Bagot in tricky conditions. He had a bit of pressure on him as well, but he was able to make a good exit there, get it out further away from that 22. But it is going to be challenging out there for the hookers to throw in, and that's about decision making, that's about making the right calls at your set piece to try and take a bit of pressure off your hooker as well, because if the rock sets in, then it can be quite difficult.
Well, Heriot's line out. Michael Linus has got 4 men at the front, just go straight up, and then they look to play away. Freddie Gibson out to Jones, and Zach Ross, who thought he was in for the opening try 2 or 3 minutes ago, popping up over on the left, the right winger. Back it comes to Linus.
Thank you.
Play on the Watsonians 10-metre line. The captain, Rory Leishman, into contact. Gibson back out to Patrick Spence. And there's numbers across there too. The left acceleration from George Cool. Taken down by Watsonians defence, and Watsonians coming up with possession.
Tackle! Leave one. Yeah, he's good.
Again, Heriot's very aggressive at that breakdown. They've turned the ball back over again. Watsonians will have to have a look at that. Untidy pass by Angus Hunter. Still with Heriot's though. Back it comes to Jamie Campbell. Second row. Not too many options out here on the right for Dan King. Tries to zigzag his way through the Watsonians defence.
Don't push it against them.
Slow ball for Gibson, so again uses the forwards and Jamie Campbell.
Stay.
Jason Hill.
Tackle! Move!
Now in behind, trying to find space on the edge here, Thomas Glendinning. He's not the biggest centre, but he's powerful, low to the ground, manages to keep that ball in the field of play. Good footwork by Ewan McLaren and good hands by Ross Jones. Eric's trying to keep this ball moving, keeping the Watsonians defence guessing.
No, he's moving. Both ducking down.
Lost some ground here though. Watsonians defence just forcing Heriot's back. And that's forced the kick from Ross Jones, almost over the head. Oh, I think that was Xander Walls, hits Freddie Owsley, who's then hit hard on the tackle just outside his 22.
Okay, use!
McAlpine takes on kicking duties himself, high into the wind, doesn't make a lot of ground. Big tackle by Seb Cecil. This will come back on the Heriot side. We've had all the possession in the opening 10 minutes of this game. Still scoreless though, this first of our semi-finals in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership. Heriot's looking again to get the ball wide through Dan King. Right to George Cool, though up goes the flag on the far side. Another Watsonians line out, but it's all Heriots in the early stages.
Yeah, but you feel Watsonians have started to settle a little bit more confident the way that they're defending. You've seen that passage of play there. They were able just to push Heriots back about 20 metres when they were attacking. But what was that from Ewan McLaren when the ball was going loose? Just that'll be going on his highlight reel. But Heriots just not able to find the spaces in the wider challenge. Watsonians look relatively comfortable. They look like they're not going to be broken through the middle yet. But it's been a lung-busting start, 10 minutes, and it's just been attack. It's been full on from Heriot. So you feel they're looking to try and strike an early blow against their visitors.
Okay, off the mark.
So Watsonians from the line out. Conor McAlpine told to use the ball. You could hear the referee instructing Heriots to let the ball go there. Watsonians awarded the penalty.
There's obviously an approach from the Heriots to make sure that in those forward battles they're really targeting and trying to fight for everything. I think maybe a couple of years ago when we were talking about a Super Series Heriots versus Watsonians, it would have been very attritional up front, two forward packs just battering each other. The Watsonians have kind of shifted the way that they play. They've got a really exciting outside backs. They probably look to try and play a little bit more expansive. And I think they're probably just on the back foot against this Heriots pack so far. I think Heriots look like they're trying to target this Watsonians pack up front and force some errors out of them. But Watsonians have started to settle and got some good territory here.
Yes, Watsonians line out on the Heriots 10-metre line over on the far side. It's been stolen though by Rory Leishman. 4 lineouts for Watsonians so far, and only one of them really working. The ball kicked through though by Heriots. Here goes Freddie Owsley from the back for Watsonians. Tries to offload that ball. It bounces rather fortuitously up into the hands of Xander Walls. Heriots trying to keep the left wing up. Well, the referee judged that to be a maul. Watsonians unable to get the ball out of there. So of course the scrum awarded to Heriots. Good work by the pack.
Yeah, excellent work. We're just able to lift Ronan Kerr up enough that he couldn't graze his knees on the ground to stop that passage of play. But that's going to be a danger for Heriots if they're going to kick loose balls in behind. We know how dangerous Freddie Owsley can be with the ball in hand. We've seen it time and time again. That arcing running and then just digging in and finding that gap in the defensive line. He can sniff an opportunity. He knows where the weak points are. So if Heriots are going to be putting boot to ball and trying to utilise this wind, they've got to make sure that they're moving Owsley about and getting their defensive chase in shape. But good defence from Heriots up front to starve Kerr there. His teammates just not able to grab the ball back and get it back on their side.
Crouch! Bang! Set!
So Freddie Gibson gets that ball in, a powerful drive from the Heriots 8. Close to the defensive line, and Heriots perhaps have found space over on that far side. Tackle made by Watsonians on their own 10-metre line. Heriots making good ground from the scrum. Jason Hill, very flat, thumped. A solid tackle by Watsonians.
Yeah, stay there. Don't come up.
Gibson again out to Jones, just lifts that ball to Ewan McLaren. No time for the fancy footwork there from the tight head prop. Again, Heriots trying to get the ball wide, but Dan King just couldn't get the pass away. Snapped up by Watsonian. Seb Cecil now.
Release.
In come the hands from Chris Keane. Referee tells him to let
Passage
go.
is
Jason
over.
Bagot tries to find space at the back. Well placed was George Cool. Thumps the ball off downfield with the wind at his back. Well, that's been touched down by Dom Cookson in goals. That'll be a goal line dropout.
Yeah, not a bad option there from Cool. I thought he maybe overcooked it, but it was just had the right roll on the ball just to stop in that goal area, and it's a great return. He caught the ball just outside his own 22, when he's going to force Watsonians to kick into this biting wind to try and get out their own territory. So yeah, not a bad bit of play there from the Heriot's winger. And good cover as well. You can see defensively for Watsonians when they're lining up, they're actually putting Freddie Owsley out in the wider channels to stop that option of going round the outside. He's an absolute bullet. Obviously it's interesting to see how both of these teams are trying to approach each other.
So Ross Jones takes that ball from the restart through the hands of Freddie Gibson to Dan King, who's taken down on the Watsonians 10 metre line, comes squirting out the side of the breakdown, almost stolen by Craig Davidson, still with Heriots. Jamie Campbell, second row with the carry, then Ross Jones again. Watsonians trying to turn this into a maul, and it's do well to get it back, a bit untidily though. Ross Jones has to take that ball into contact back on halfway. It's quite happy to just start again though through the forwards. Slow ball again. Freddie Gibson shapes to kick. Up it goes, and that forces Owsley to come forward onto it, but not really challenged. A hint of space out on the left, the stand side for Watsonians. You can hear the cries of the Watsonians backs trying to get it out there. Lost their opportunity for now, I think. If they go to the right instead, tackle made by Michael Linus. Oh, it's a good quick ball, and Jason Bagot flicks that ball back inside, and here go Watsonians. Loose pass picked up by Jamie Campbell for Heriots, and away they go downfield. Jason Hill, good offload, and Heriots keeping this ball alive. Rory Kirkpatrick now the open side flanker. The Heriots again find themselves just outside that Watsonians 22. Ross Jones puts that ball through, might well bounce back up into the hands of the fly half. Heriots just into the 22. Appeals from Watsonians, hands in the ruck. And good defence from the visitors, again winning themselves a penalty.
Yeah, good defence, but you could see when it starts to get a little bit fragmented how both of these sides want to try and take that opportunity. Good attack from Watsonians, but when the ball went loose, you could see Jamie Campbell just thought it opened up for him, started scampering downfield, and that's when the broken defence started to get attacked. Heriots looking to really make an impression on that Watsonians defence, but great to press the reset button, get back, and to win that penalty. And you see how much it means to them as well. Quagga Van Neerkirk giving a big fist pump as soon as the referee awarded that penalty. You can barely believe it's been 18.5 minutes gone. It's been breathless stuff from both of these sides. The scoreline's deceptive, 0-0. You would think it's a bit of a no-score bore, but it's been thoroughly entertaining between these two sides so far.
Precisely what I was going to say. It's hard to believe that it's still 0-0 as we approach the end of the first quarter. A sizable crowd here inside the stand at Goldenacre, off to our left in the open seating. Craig Davidson just trots across to relay the instructions for the line out to Matt Pritchard. Watsonians' line out hasn't really fired thus far. We go along to Neil Irvin Hess. We've not seen too much of him, the co-captain, number 8. Watsonians breaking away, good quick ball for Conor McAlpine. Davidson charging hard onto the loose head prop. South African born. Played Scotland under-20s, whipped out by Dom Cookson. Out into the path of Loman McPherson. Watsonians haven't spent too much time inside the Heriots half. Just look to go through some phases here. Bagot through between the forwards, in behind. Looking for space out wide. McAlpine back to the right, and Seb Cecil.
Okay, out 2, thank you.
Still on that 10 metre line, being met with very stiff Heriot's defence here. McAlpine again to Van Niekerk, taken down by Chris Keane. Another loud blast on the whistle by the referee. Towards Watsonians, the penalty. Conor McAlpine thought about going quickly.
No, I need to quicker.
Just throws the ball to Jason Bagot, who will look to put his side into the corner.
Yeah, I think McAlpine certainly thought there was an opportunity there to keep the tempo up, which is a pattern of the way that Watsonians have been playing this season. They want to try and play with energy, high octane rugby. And McAlpine, when he tried to take that quick penalty, I think it perhaps just came off the referee, David Young, but you can see Chris Keane there getting penalised for not rolling away. It's clever there from McAlpine as well. He was throwing the ball into the path of Chris Keane as he was lying prone on the ground.
Well, Watsonians with, I think, their first visit to the 22.
And the 5.
Ball taken by Seb Cecil at the front. Lots of line-out options there for Watsonians. They've got that maul well set. Driving towards the try line. Now down it goes. Conor McAlpine look to play the ball away. Seb Cecil and Van Niekerk recycle themselves, ready for the carry, but the referee says that's not coming out of there. We'll have a Watsonian scrum.
Made the tackle, scrum, Watson's ball.
Yeah, accurate. First time that Watsonians have been inside the Heriot's 22, and it looked like it was going to bear fruit there when the driving maul started making its way towards the try line. But you can see he's just run aground there. It's not coming too much. There's a clear out from Pritchard trying to release the ball for McAlpine, but the referee had just blasted his whistle to signal that it's going to be a put into the scrum. And this is going to be an interesting scrum between these two sides, because Heriot's look like they've just slightly got the upper hand. The previous one crumbled on the left hand side as you're looking on from a Heriot's position. So it's going to be interesting to see how the defending side, the home side, are going to approach this scrum, if they'll try and put a bit of pressure on the visitors.
Okay, here we go. Let's go. Here we go. Come on, check me the side.
An important scrum here for Watsonians. First real opportunity of the match. Scrum about 7 metres out from the Heriot's try line and 7 metres or so in from the stand side touchline. So the whole back division strung off to the right. 3 at the front, 3 at the back. So lots of options.
Set.
To hit the centres up or go in behind. Lowen McPherson lurking out on the right. Pressure does come on from the scrum. Somehow Conor McAlpine comes away with it, tries to hit Dom Coetzer. He's absolutely hammered in the tackle. Is that Ross Jones? And Heriot's do very well to shut that down. Pressure on at the scrum and the defence flying up, and that comes to naught for Watsonians.
Yeah, this is going to be... It's an interesting scrum. Heriot's really went for it, and they tried to get the ball out wide, and you'll see this collision here from Coetzer, just snapped in half there by Jones. He just watched it, travelled and seen exactly where that ball was going to be drifting towards, committed early. Good to see Dom Coetzer back up on his feet, but it was certainly a heavy collision in midfield.
Well, he's not the biggest of inside centres either. I think played most of his rugby at fullback for the Super Series side. Yeah,
I think he was just glad it was the player at the number 10 on his back and nothing a little bit lower.
Yes, if Jason Hill, for example, had made the tackle, it was a great hit though by Ross Jones. Oh, and this time Heriot's winning themselves a penalty at the scrum. So 2 good scrums for the home side and an easy out for them from their own 22.
Yeah, it's an interesting area, the scrum, in the opening kind of 25 minutes. The first scrum, you've seen that Heriot's had just a little bit of more power there. Watsonians were digging in pretty hard. The second one crumbled, the third one they really attacked, and that one there they win the penalty. So you certainly can say they've got ascendancy up front. I was watching Chris Keane before, and he was going head to head with one of his teammates and just explaining about how much bite he was getting on the ground with his studs. So it's certainly the fine margins, and they're certainly getting studs into the ground anyway, because they're looking pretty impressive in that pack.
25 minutes on the clock here at Goldenacre. Still Heriot's 0, Watsonians 0. Leishman the target in the middle of the Heriot's line out, and Linus whips the ball out to Gibson. Watsonians coming up fast, trying to cut off the options
No hands,
out wide.
10. Thank you.
Heriot's well set up in attack to go either way, but they go to the left.
No, you're off your feet. Thank you.
Chris Keane, the footwork, just trying to emulate Ewan McLaren. On the other side of the Heriot scrum, and banged off downfield by Heriots. Back they come, Watsonians through Xander Walls, very close to the touchline. Did well the left wing to stay in the field of play. McAlpine to Van Niekerk, knocked back by Michael Linus. So Watsonians shaping to kick through Conor McAlpine. I didn't quite get that right and had to scurry away, but it might work for Watsonians. Dom Coetzer gets the hands free. It's Ronan Kerr, and lobbed out wide to Loman McPherson. Big powerful right wing up over halfway. Back to Seb Cecil.
On ball, release. Thank you,
And it's challenging at the breakdown again, though, but referee saying not on ball, release. Could be some space out here in the wide channels again for Watsonians. Both sides trying to get the ball wide, but for now the defence is just about on top. Tackle made by Thomas Glendinning, and Watsonians still stuck on their own side of halfway. Seb Cecil didn't really want that ball, he was waiting on some support, but Watsonians managed to retain possession, but they'll kick it away here, not going anywhere with ball in hand. So they'll try and make this tackle and start again further downfield. Good work though by Zach Ross. Jason Hill manages to ride a big tackle, makes another metre or two. Heriot's just setting up the position for the kick. The win behind the home side. Freddie Gibson again sends that down in the direction of Freddie Owsley. He just slams it back into the 22, taken well by Ross Jones. Doesn't have much of an angle to play with here, tries the banana kick. Actually does pretty well, makes good ground.
Yeah, you could see Owsley there just spotted a little bit of space in behind, and Jones was quick to cover it. They cleared their lines in almost half an hour, 0-0. It's not for the lack of trying as well. It's, you know, in the semi-final rugby you would think there's a little bit of nerves and a little bit tentative, but they're throwing everything into it for this first half hour just about. I think that's just once you get to this level, the quality at the top of this division, it's going to be a slip tackle, something where somebody's just not on their post, which is going to let the first team in for the score. But it was a good exit there from Jones, covering that space in behind. That's two good exits we've seen from deep inside their own area, and been able to clear their lines downfield.
Well, we thought that Zach Ross, the Heriot's right wing, was in for a try just a matter of minutes into the game. The referee came back for a Watsonians penalty, and that's the only clear-cut opportunity that we've seen from either side so far.
Yeah, no, I know, but not just that one. There's been two or three. Okay, subs made.
Break and play here. I think we've got a change that looks like it could be that Josh Mitchell coming on in the back line for Watsonians. Yeah,
Josh Mitchell on for Xander Walls. He took a heavy knock on an earlier foray when he was trying to get out of his own half. He went back to cover the kick downfield, and he ran into a really forceful challenge. He managed to stay in the field of play, but he looks like he's come off second best overall.
Well, Watsonians off the go down that right wing. This could be the first try of the game, up into the 22. Tackle made by Glendinning, referee playing an advantage. Heriots retreating, trying to reorganise in defence. Loman McPherson in the thick of things, in beside the forwards. So Watsonians, can they pounce on this? Van Niekerk, that's been turned over by Ewan McLaren, will come back for the penalty.
Back we go. Well, come on. No, back you go. Got Watson breaking through. Got a high tackle. Yeah. What's the break? I think it's a yellow card.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
No, wasn't a clean. It's a line breakthrough, so yes.
Yellow card.
Yeah.
Captain and 13.
Let's just hear what the referee says here. Looks like a yellow card coming up for Heriot.
Gone high. There's a break being made. It's a yellow card. No, feel like there was men covering. It's a yellow card.
Is that Thomas Glendinning, the Heriot's outside centre, for a high tackle. So Heriot's down to
Time's back on.
14 men for the next 10 minutes. So Watsonians unable to score from the break down the right hand side, but they'll have another chance from a line out 5 metres out from the Heriot's line here.
Guys, hold!
Yeah, I'm just saying it was going to be a slip tackle. McPherson with a great break back inside to Conor McAlpine, and then Glendinning just rides a bit high. And what can Watsonians do here?
Okay, clear access.
Pritchard to Cecil.
And the 5.
Heriot's holding firm for now, but Watsonians look well set at that maul now, inching forward towards the Heriot's try line, still going forward. Watsonians.
Fine.
That goes to deck. The referee. Well, happy with that.
Always legal.
A great defence by Heriot's, holding firm 5 metres from their line, and they win themselves a scrum.
5's always legal.
Yeah, the punches in the air, especially from Linus there. He's had a long storied career here at Goldenacre, and yeah, how much will that mean to him in terms of being able to stop Watsonian getting the first score of this game? And this is the break from McPherson earlier on when they got to the wider channels. This is McAlpine, and you can see Glendinning just wrapping his arm round the shoulder and the neck of the scampering Watsonians number 9. And Heriot's doing an incredible effort to keep Watsonians at bay. When it looked like they were starting to form, they were starting to pick that weak spot. Heriot stood tall.
Let's go in! Come on, Trump, with us in, let's go! I said it, let's go!
Glendinning will argue that he was perhaps hard done by there with the yellow card. There was certainly no malice, not particularly dangerous, but it was certainly high, just round the Watsonians player's neck. So
I think part of that is the area it's in as well, you know, in terms of it's two backs against each other. I think the fact it was potentially, if you take Glendinning out of that situation, it's a try scoring opportunity. If he goes a little bit lower, I think a good call there from match official David Young. His intent was always to slip down. You can see that from the replay. He wasn't looking to stick round the neck area, but yeah, you're in that danger zone.
Crouch! Bind! Set! Hold for the ball!
Won themselves a penalty from the scrum last time we were back here, and Watsonians trying to apply the pressure up this left hand side, but again the penalty goes the way of the home team.
And under pressure.
Yeah, I think Martin McGinley is the player being penalised there by the match official, and it's an interesting area of this game. You know, I think, you know, an open play when you lose an outside centre, it's a really pivotal position to defend, and it's going to be interesting to see how Heriots are going to set up now.
Take a bit more space.
But I think Watsonians can ill afford to lose players up front.
Cross the tunnel.
The referee just having a quick word with both of the Watsonians props on the way back there, Craig Davidson and Martin McGinley, or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe it was the Watsonians props just having a word with the referee. But either way, Heriots on top, certainly at scrum time in this first half, and it's won them 2 important penalties under pressure inside their 22. Chance to clear their lines, and it'll be Heriots.
Stay in your mark.
Pitch.
You take the gap. Okay, guys, this is children's stuff.
Michael Linus, who started out a long time ago at Edinburgh Accies. Well, it's been won by Watsonians. So the visitors back on the attack just outside the 22. Coutser through the hands to Owsley, accelerating into contact there, taken down by his opposite number, Dan King. So Watsonians, who perhaps thought they'd lost their opportunity, back on the attack through. Well, Van Niekerk's been stolen though by Heriots, and nobody home at the back. Josh Mitchell on the field of play for Xander Walls as to scurry back and tidy things up for Watsonians. Heriots again proving to be a real handful at breakdown time. McGinley, the tight head prop.
Stay there.
with the
They're all
carry, and
bound.
again Conor
Do
McAlpine
not touch.
just shaping to kick.
Go on 10.
Doesn't get a lot of distance on that, but that's
Back.
well,
Still
almost
back.
won by Ronan Kerr. Seb Cecil in there as well. We'll come back on the Heriot side. A thumping tackle by Cecil, who stayed on his feet, tried to get hands on ball there. And Heriot's led round the corner by Jason Hill, then out to Ross Jones. Sends that ball high into the Edinburgh skies. That's a great take by Freddie Owsley because he misjudged it slightly, had to reach behind him. Bagot thought about the kick, sensed there was space, didn't have much room to play with. Good work by Ronan Kerr, the outside centre still going. Conor McAlpine was there looking for the offload. Matt Pritchard now, the hooker. Watsonian centre field, up they go to the right. Dom Coetzer finds Owsley again in space there. Through goes Owsley, looking for support. Finds McPherson, Loman McPherson, in for the first try of the match. Well, it's taken 36 minutes, but it's Watsonians who pounce. Freddie Owsley through the gap for Watsonians, finds his right wing, and Loman McPherson with the score.
Yeah, excellent try there from Watsonians. We said it was just going to be a slip challenge, and it's that man Freddie Owsley again. He just knows exactly where to attack when he's got the ball in hand. He likes to travel with pace and then dig right in, and it all came from a roll earlier on. But you have a little look, that slip challenge, Owsley in behind, he's able to bounce off his right foot, and it completely opens it up for McPherson. It's brilliant play from the fullback. He knows exactly where he's wanting to run, what he's wanted to do with Dan King, because it opens up the space for McPherson out wide, and just able to get on the outside of Kirkpatrick. Jones is stuck on his man, back in field, and he's going on the outside shoulder of Dan King. Dan King can't do anything about it, flat footed. He's got such a huge space to try and defend, but a lot of that came from Ronan Kerr and Private Kerr, the commando role in front of us here, in front of the stand, you know, keeping that passage of play alive.
Well, Heriot's, remember, a man down in the back division as well, minus Thomas Glendinning. So perhaps more space than there might have been out there for Watsonians.
Yeah, you just see that, it's just that slip challenge. But the rest of it after that is just what Freddie Owsley brings to this team. Once he gets in behind that defensive line, he can attack space so quickly because of his sheer raw pace. But just that game awareness and that rugby brain, just to dig back in field, centre his run to really fix the fullback and open up the space for McPherson to have the easiest of scores.
Jason Bagot unsuccessful with the conversion.
Tackle!
Watsonians have been under pressure for much of this opening half. Heriot's, you'd argue, the home side just with the upper hand. Well, Watsonians have increasingly grown into the game, looking dangerous in attack. And they're the first to score through the right wing, Loman McPherson. Looking now to play their way out of their own half. Back it goes. Well, they again sensing space. A man short in the Heriot's back division, perhaps costing them again. Ball threaded through by Josh Mitchell. It's been snapped up by Freddie Owsley. And Owsley, the creator of the first try, finishes off the second try for Watsonians, and they lead by 10 points to 0.
Yeah, my vocabulary doesn't stretch as much to praise that try high enough. It was excellent from start to finish, but it comes down to the fact that losing a number 13 in that wider channel, it's difficult to defend from in the best of times, but when you're not on the pitch, you're so stretched, and Watsonians know that, and they're able to get the ball into the wide channels and allow a little opportunity for their fast players to get their hands on ball. But watch the awareness here, just looking, ball in two hands, looks in field and puts boot to ball. Josh Mitchell weighing that kick perfectly into the path of a striding Freddie Owsley. And Jones has had a good game so far, but I don't think he's going to have any pace to match Freddie Owsley when he's galloping towards the line. That's an excellent score there from Watsonians.
Yes, Watsonians very alert to the space that was out wide. Both teams have been trying to play out wide, and the defences have been up to the task, but Heriot's missing a man. Thomas Glendinning shown a yellow card for that high tackle. Well, it's cost his side as Watsonians scored 2 quick fire tries. Jason Bagot catches that one nicely, raises the flags, and Watsonians now lead by 12 points to 0 as we approach half time.
And we've got about 30 seconds left of that yellow card, and it's been a 12-point return for Watsonians. And you would think in a game that's been so physical up front, and it's Heriots have essentially dominated the game for most of it. As soon as they lose a player in the back division, that's when Watsonians can benefit from it, and it's players like this. Freddie Owsley will be playing his last campaign for Watsonians before venturing down south. He'll be hoping to get another game in a Watsonian shirt, and he's putting them into that position with that score.
Well, Josh Mitchell, who set up the Owsley try with a beautifully weighted kick through, has just made a mistake from the restart, so perhaps one last chance for Heriots to strike before half time. Thomas Glendinning back on the field of play, so Heriots with their full complement of 15 will look to narrow the deficit.
Both teams waiting the ball,
just before half time.
A big 40 minutes for Glendinning, you would say, off the pitch for the last 10 minutes, and it's, you could argue that a lot of the stuff came down his channel where he should have been.
Sorry, Hooker's hand up. Okay.
Can Heriots galvanise anything in the final stages of this first half? If they were to get a score here, a game that's been so close, in the blink of an eye, to be 12 points behind is
Don't move.
It's a daunting task for Heriots.
Head out and give your silly, I get
If they were to get something here, they'll head into the tunnel at half time and a little bit happier.
So we last.
Let's go!
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Great attacking position here for Heriots, just outside the Watsonians 22. Goes on the stand side, touchline, whipped away out into the midfield, and Angus Hunter. Dan King has to reach high above his head to take that. The Heriots fullback takes play just inside the Watsonians 22. Back it comes to the forwards, misses out Chris Keane to Patrick Spence. Freddie Gibson trying to play quickly here. There's Jason Hill caught behind the gain line, the blindside flanker. And there is Thomas Glendinning.
No hands!
Outside centre, back on the field of play after that yellow card. Jamie Campbell. Heriots going through phases here, but struggling to make much ground. And behind the forwards now as they go wide through. Angus Hunter, ball lobbed out to the left wing, and George Cool.
No hands, no!
Get into the 22, in come Watsonians illegally. Heriots penalty.
Second attempt, hand.
Yeah, you hear the referee explaining what the penalty's for. A really, really dangerous one to give away from a Watsonians point of view, because that Heriots pack have been pretty robust so far, and it's going to offer an opportunity for Jones just to stab it in the corner, get as close as he can to that 5 metre line, set up camp. And I think we all know what's going to be coming next. With the ball in hand, attacking wise, when Heriots have they're going really, really lateral, which I think is making it really easy for Watsonians to defend. So these opportunities, they're going to have to try and take them, especially before half time. They're going to have to try and get a try on the board.
We're into stoppage time at the end of this first half at Goldenacre. Heriots trailing by 12 points to 0, but a great chance for them here. Tidy line out though. It's been won by Matt Pritchard. The Watsonians hooker on the deck. Watsonians players piling in there, sensing the urgency just to get this ball off the field of play. Hacked up into touch, and with that the referee David Young blows for half time, and a gripping first half here at Goldenacre, and the first of our playoff semi-finals in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership. And defences on top for most of the first half. It took till the 36-minute mark before Watsonians were able to open the scoring through Loman McPherson, after Heriots had lost Thomas Glendinning to the sin bin for 10 minutes. So an evenly contested first half. Watsonians, I think you could argue, worth their lead. Well, Heriots will feel that they were on top for most of that half, but Watsonians pouncing after the loss of Thomas Glendinning from that Heriots backline. And you can see confirmation on your screen there of the half-time score. It's Heriots Rugby 0, Watsonians 12. And we'll get the thoughts quickly of Dale Clancy, and then we'll look back on the highlights from that first half.
Yeah, Heriots came out the traps. First 25 minutes, you would argue, better team. They're really putting Watsonians under a lot of pressure. And then after that, they certainly kind of fell foul of that yellow card after Glendinning got put into the sin bin. And a couple of quick fire tries from Watsonians that, you know, they took their opportunities when they were in the 22, and it puts them in a really, really good position going into the second half.
So let's have a look back then at the highlights from an entertaining first half. And this was, I think, the run by Loman McPherson, which ultimately resulted in the Thomas Glendinning yellow card.
Yeah, you can just see there Glendinning trying to scamper back to cover the space. It was a great run as well, and McPherson, this is what he does, just getting on the outside of Cool, striding towards the 22, tracking in field as Glendinning just has to dig in. He's got that real acute angle to try and cover the scrum half. Live, when we were watching that, McAlpine done a great job of this, leaning back towards the left hand side as he was running. So it was really well done, and that was a yellow card for Thomas Glendinning. So Heriots down to 14 players.
And that yellow card was the key moment in the first half, because Watsonians, they sensed the space was out wide and scored 2 tries in the space of 2 minutes. The first through Loman McPherson, and then the second by Freddie Owsley. Yeah,
this is the build-up there. Ronan Kerr, great role. He kept the ball alive, he ate up the ground, he kept the tempo going. And then when Coacher gets the ball through the hands, you can just see Freddie Owsley. He's already running, he already knows what gap he's going to try and pick. But if you're watching this as a pacey rugby player, and you're trying to break through into the upper echelons of the game, then just watch what Freddie Owsley does there. He picks his gap, he commits to it, he then ghosts back inside to really fix the defender. And this is a great angle of that. He's already running, he's already knowing that he's got a forward to try and beat on the outside, and just the way that he digs back inside, fixes Dan King, and then easy as you like for McPherson, ball in one hand, he knows he's coasting in for the opening score of the game. And then this was the second one. Again, a great work from the Watsonians' backs. It was the replacement there that came on, and Josh Mitchell, who put boot to ball. He saw a bit of space in behind, and Freddie Owsley was striding all the way down the pitch and just was able to benefit from that bouncing ball, just fell gracefully into his hands, and he was always going to have the pace on Ross Jones. And it's even after riding a challenge that came up there on Freddie Owsley, just such is the raw pace that he has. You see him just streaking into the picture now and gathering the ball, and it's another try to add to his impressive tally so far this season in the Premiership. He's certainly wanting to extend his Watsonian's career by one more game, and he's done a good job of contributing towards that in the first half.
So Jason Bagot unsuccessful with the first conversion, but added the 2 extra points to that Freddie Owsley try. And well, if we said the key moment in the first half was the loss of Thomas Glendinning, showing a yellow card in that Heriots back division, Freddie Owsley perhaps the key man for Watsonians, provider of the first try for Loman McPherson, and then finishing off the second try after the beautifully weighted kick of Josh Mitchell. And it's Watsonians, the visitors, beaten here 2 or 3 months ago, but they go into half time leading by 12 points to 0 in this playoff semi-final. So the crowd here will be looking forward to, I'm sure, will be another entertaining second half. Join us again shortly as we take a short break from Goldenacre.
Mark and Samantha have tied themselves in knots trying to find a new car. It's not rocket science, Mark.
Why isn't it easy?
It is easy.
With Arnold Clark, not only do we guarantee the UK's best used car deals, you can search and compare thousands of cars, adjust your monthly payments, and value your part exchange, all with a few clicks.
Find your car your way. At Arnold Clark, we make it easy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
No one was born a hero. It's an everyday journey. There are no shortcuts, no days off, no perfect scenarios. Things won't always go the way you expect. But overcoming challenges is part of the game too. Your time is now. When passion runs through you, become your own hero.
Really got a rumble on here. Those two phases, lightning quick. Mattinson, on to Nelson, the vice-captain. Here is Smith with 15 on her back for the first time in a nickel jersey, but offset scoring ground. Eyes alive. Oh, Emma, oh, that is awesome. Vice runner Lloyd against Joyce. The hurdle. Oh, the razzmatazz and the score.
Nobody at the back for Italy. Just puts the ball on the foot. Ronan Lloyd is airing after this. Boots under pressure. Clear out was good, but the ball's there for Everett to pick and go, and all will score.
Chance there, chance for Thompson to go straight through the Irish defence. A second Scotland try.
Welcome back to Goldenacre. So half-time score on your screen. Heriot's Rugby 0, Watsonians 12. In this first playoff semi-final in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership. And Heriot's putting Watsonians to the sword by 42 points to 20 here back in January. And certainly considered favourites in most people's eyes coming into this one, but trailing by 12 points to 0 at half time. And Dale, what will be said in each of these changing rooms, do you think?
I think Watsonians will be really the game. They were on the ropes for the opening 20 minutes or so, so I think they'll be just readdressing the fact that they don't need to be rattled too much. They need to make sure that defensively they're structured, they're sound, they make their hits and don't allow any slip challenges, which Heriots did. I think Heriots need to be a little bit. They probably need to approach this more like a cup rugby game instead of a league rugby game. Like, I feel they're not trying to get in the right positions to try and take these opportunities. They're looking to blast the door off the hinges and use their big runners, which they've got. But there just probably needs to be a little bit more structure and game management from the likes of Jones and King. They've got two really accomplished kickers. So from me looking on, as a neutral at this game, if Heriots get themselves in the right positions and they keep frustrating Watsonians and really pen them in, they'll be able to take their chances at some point, but they need to be playing in the right areas. And although they were peppering the Watsonians line in the first half, Watsonians were comfortable because they were really defending the 22 for most of that time. So yeah, contrasting conversations probably in the changing rooms at half time, but certainly the team exiting the tunnel right now will be the happier of the two. But 40 minutes of rugby between these two sides are still a long way to go.
It's our second semi-final to be played in a fortnight through at Millbrae. Top side Ayr up against the defending champions Curry, who finished the regular league season in 4th place. Still a game to play, Curry, hence the delay to that game being played. But it's second against third here at Goldenacre. Heriot's against Watsonians, and it's visitors who lead by 12 points to 0 as we go into the second half. The sun shining here at Goldenacre. A wind which proved difficult to deal with at times in the first half. Now at the backs of the Watsonian side, as the try scorer Loman McPherson takes that ball from the kickoff, gets the hands free, and off go Watsonians with the first attack of the half. That bounces back nicely into the hands of Martin McGinley. And it's first opportunity for Watsonians under the cosh for most of the early stages of the first half. On the attack here through Dom Coetzer. Craig Davidson rather getting in the way of his inside centre there. A loose head prop Jason Bagot sees space in behind, just rolls that ball end over end. That's a lovely kick by the Watsonians co-captain and forces Heriot's back into the 22.
That was a good guess to say what were they saying in the sheds at half time, because I'm saying they didn't want to slip their challenges, and Jason Hill just in front of us in the 22. As soon as he slips that challenge, the Watsonians are in behind. McPherson keeping the ball alive, shifting the point of contact as well, taking it all the way, and even benefiting from that bouncing ball that ricocheted off as they kicked it forward. McGinley eating up a lot of ground to take it further forward, and then that game management from Bagot, just pinning them in the corner, put them in the right areas. A really good start to the second half from Watsonians.
Well, there's some tall timber in both lineouts that Watsonians not surprisingly going up to challenge that. They've won the ball. Loman McPherson in there, just shifts the ball quickly out to Van Nierkerk. One fan, was it Lewis Ball? Nierkerk and Lewis Ball switching numbers, I think, from what we have in our team sheet. Freddie Owsley out to that left wing, and Watsonians just in the edge of the Heriot's 22. Seb Cecil. Conor McAlpine goes back to the left as Watsonians try to drive their way into the 22. Forwards again waiting. Seb Cecil pulls the ball back to Bagot, and it's whipped out into the midfield, and Martin McGinley.
No hard team on roll.
Slower ball here for McAlpine. Bagot to Coetzer, sees space in behind but can't quite thread the ball through between the Heriot's players. It's been won by Heriot's back up to their 10-metre line, and there's nobody at the back for Watsonians. It was well spotted by Ross Jones as he just put that ball in behind. Good play by the Heriot's fly half.
Yeah, it's such an old-fashioned ethos to think that why has he kicked that then, but you know, obviously Coetzer could see it in front of him that it opened up, and just stabbing it in behind allows him to play rugby down here. And I think that's probably the message that's been from the coaching staff at half time, is like, just try to pen Heriot's into their own 22, but as soon as it ricochets, it was well scooped up by Kirkpatrick there, and then Heriot's almost had a half an opportunity. But good game awareness from Jones, and it's exactly what Heriot's need.
Well, Matt Pritchard throw again going astray, and Jason Hill fights his way forward towards the 22. So can Heriot's pounce here? Two centres trying to combine, ball goes loose. Advantage here. Nobody at the back now for Heriot's as Freddie Owsley just bangs the ball down into Heriot's territory. Zach Ross back, faced by two Watsonians defenders, initially did well. An untidy pass in the rough direction of Thomas Glendinning. Outside centre.
No hands.
Does well to steady the ship there for Heriot's, but it's real end-to-end stuff. Watsonians with the opportunity down in the 22. Heriot's making their way up to the Watsonians 22 and suddenly find themselves trying to clear the ball into the wind just outside their own area. It's sent skyward in the direction of Dom Coetzer, the inside centre play. Lots of rugby at fullback though, very secure under the high ball. Heriot's piling to that though. They've been certainly the upper hand at the breakdown, the home side. Watsonians Again, quickly have to transition into defensive shape.
Place the ball.
Try to bring some heat here as Freddie Gibson takes some steps, tries to attract defenders, and quickly through the hands for Heriot. Suddenly find themselves in the wide channels with Thomas Glendinning.
No!
Opted not to use George Cool, the referee, though.
You must move. He's fine. You're in the way.
Decides that Watsonians haven't rolled away. It's Heriot's penalty. And the second half starts just as frantically as the first half did.
Yeah, it has been end to end between these two sides. So Jones gets on for kicking downfield. He's certainly found his touch inside Watsonians territory. But you start to see, as this game will progress as well, in the next 10-15 minutes, you'll start to see a few more errors creep into the game as well, a few more drop-offs and challenges as the players start to tire. But you do see there's probably a little bit more game management coming in. I did see there was that outstretched slow down there from, I think it was Patrick Spence. He was telling his scrum half, Gibson, just to slow down when they were given the penalty, knowing that they want to try and play in the right areas, not try and just chuck the kitchen sink at Watsonians just now.
Nothing
the right
in the
decision.
air.
There's
Nothing
a
in the air.
chance here for Heriots to throw into the line out and
Ball player available.
have a sustained period of pressure down inside Watsonians territory.
Time's back on.
Martin McGinley, the Watsonians tight head prop, receiving some treatment, seems to be okay. Takes his place at the back of the Watsonians line out.
Tackle! Tackle only!
Well, neither side have fared particularly well at the line out, it has to be said. I'm not sure if the wind is playing a part in that or the pressure of playoff rugby. Either way, Michael Linus can't hit his jumper when he really needed to in a great attacking position for Heriots. And Jason Bagot.
Okay, enough now. Enough.
Takes play to just outside the Watsonians 22.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. As soon as I seen Watsonians go up at the front, it's just baffling how these lineouts have went for both sides. It is windy, but that looks like just a well-read, well-marshalled lineout from Watsonians. They've certainly done their homework on their opposition. And Bagot's clearance as well, it doesn't relieve too much pressure, a little bit, but it gives Linus another opportunity to throw into the lineout. They'll be hoping to find their target here. Some good jumpers in Leishman and Campbell.
Leishman set up at the front, Seb Cecil ready to go up against them. Instead they go to the middle. Irvin Hess went up and it missed everybody. It's been won by Matt Pritchard, the Watsonians hooker. Jason Bagot opting not to kick here. 2 men at the back for Heriot. So Watsonians sense there must be space somewhere, and when Freddie Owsley is on the ball, there's always space, there's always an opportunity. That's well taken by George Cool. Got one hand to that, the Heriot's left wing, and again sends it back down into Watsonians territory. Bounces into touch. Now is that a 50-22? I think it is. Bob Nevins, the assistant referee on this side.
Yep.
And that is a fantastic kick by George Cool.
Yeah, an unbelievable kick. Just when you start to see Freddie Owsley starting to make that impact in the game again, wider channels, getting through and behind, really asking questions of Glendinning, who's defending at 13. I mean, the ball comes back there and Cool back gathers it under pressure. It wasn't a comfortable ball to gather, just turns round, sees a space in behind, and then he's able to kick in field. And this was the kick there from Owsley which set up that escape from Heriots, and they find themselves back in Watsonians territory.
Their third attempt at the line out works this time.
Sack's good.
Sacked by
okay, he's moved.
Watsonians.
Point of contact, release. Thank you.
The Heriots will have to play away through Gibson, out to Jason Hill. Stepping sideways, fending off tacklers as well, the blindside flanker. And out through the hands of Ross Jones. Angus Hunter involved, there's space out there. Shut down by Watsonians, 5 metres out from the visitors' try line. Tip on by Leishman to Ewan McLaren, running hard into the heart of that Watsonians defence. Linus now, Chris Keane. Heriots front row heavily involved. Jason Hill now as Heriots try to play on top of this Watsonians defence. In behind now, ball just dropped off from Jones to Angus Hunter, and we go Watsonians. Loman McPherson now galloping off down towards halfway. He's got support on the inside, taken down by Thomas Glendinning, knocked on by Watsonians. Well, the crowd here being royally entertained. Heriots going very close, losing possession, and Loman McPherson again showing his pace and power. Up over halfway, ball knocked on, and we will all take a breather with a Heriot scrum.
Yeah, it was great work, and then I think McPherson perhaps here, he's got Irvin Hess in behind. He was crying out for that ball to be released back inside. We've seen it before, how effective they are. If they can get the ball through the hands quickly, they can keep that wave of attack going. And just after that, as the cameras cut away and perhaps out of shot, I can see this, Neil Irvin Hess down there is still absolutely fuming, and he almost tore Owen McPherson's head off. A little bit of afters. I think he was just screaming that he wanted the ball. A little apology there from McPherson as well. A little tap on the hip of Irvin Hess. But it was the right option probably for McPherson to cut back inside. But credit to the defence that came across from Glendinning. McPherson makes the right option there. Great support back inside as well. And at this point he perhaps could release it back into Irvin Hess, but I think Glendinning perhaps cuts off that option. The way that he was running that acute line, he perhaps makes it a little bit more difficult than what perhaps Irvin Hess thought he perhaps had. The number 8 there just charging back and directing some verbals at his teammate and guidance, I suppose. But it was a good break again from Watsonians, defending heavily inside their own 5 metre line, and they can turn that defence into attack pretty quickly.
Yes, of course Irvin Hess can't see what's coming behind him, and I think there were two Heriot's players there. Neil Irvin Hess, another player who was with Watsonians almost throughout Super 6. I think he perhaps had the first season of Super 6 that he down at the Southern Knights.
Yeah, time with Melrose. He first came down years and years ago. I think he's just in his early 30s, and this is his last season as well. He's been a phenomenal player in the amateur game. Made an impact at every club he's been at.
Accomplished Sevens player as well.
Come on, keep.
Co-captain of this side today, along with Jason Bagot.
2, here we go, back in here. Yeah, I get it. Yep.
Well, I think the players will be thankful of a bit of a break there. We're about 10 minutes or so into the second half, and it really has been all action, end-to-end stuff. Similar to that first half, neither side able to score, still tied at the half-time score. Watsonians leading by 12 points to 0, but it really is great entertainment.
Yeah, it's an excellent game so far. It's really starting to open up, I think as the game goes on. There may be a few more opportunities out there, but I just think it shows that, you know, what's on the line for both of these sides is another really strong scrum effort comes in from Heriot, and there'll be little bits in this game like that that'll allow Heriot to creep up the pitch, but it'll open up some opportunities for them.
3 and under pressure. Number 3.
Heriot's have had the upper hand at scrum time for most of this game. It's a powerful front row as well. Chris Keane, Michael Linus and Ewan McLaren. Another look at it here. Great body positions. Watsonians unable to cope with that, and I wonder if we might see some changes in the front row from Watsonians shortly in response to that. They've got Carl Davis, Cole Lamberton and Tom Gracie in reserve.
Yeah, looking at that, I've seen players likes of, you know, Monroe, a replacement for Heriot, is good at Struan Cessford as well, and a really experienced front row as well for the home side. It's going to be an interesting facet of the game. I was just speaking at half time about how interesting a 0-0 was for so long in terms of watching both these sides try and test and probe each other. Still got a lot left in this game.
Jason Hill on the rampage again into the 22. Gibson out to Glendinning.
10 foot, thank you.
Watsonians defence well organised. Jason Hill again. Used Dan King, used the battering ram that is the blindside flanker. Hill, now Linus driven into contact. Good quick ball here for Freddie Gibson.
Tackle!
Watsonians defence racing forward, cutting off the options for Jamie Campbell, but another loud blast on the whistle.
Rip.
And then hands in there, ripping that ball out illegally.
Cold tackle,
and a penalty again to Heriot, and you'd think a chance for Ross Jones just to bang this ball into touch.
I don't know. We'll come back to 52 minutes at the close of the game. I think I would be taking 3 points there just to get yourself off the board. It makes it a 9-point game. Yes, you're still going to have to score a couple of tries, but you've got that 3 points. You've got that. Watsonians have only converted 1 try, so we'll see what happens from this next passage of play.
Well, they've had 3 or 4 opportunities from the line out inside the 22 in this second half.
Sorry, knocked on.
And only once has Michael Linus managed to hit his jumper. Makes a mistake again there, but the ball's been knocked on by Watsonians, who won the ball from the line out. So Heriot's handed another opportunity this side, this time from the scrum.
I think if you ask the Heriot's coaching staff what do you want from this result in line out, they'd probably say an attacking scrum. I think the way that the line outs have been, they've not been accurate for either side. I think just well read there by Watsonians as well, but the end product being a knock on for Watsonians. If I was in the number 1 to 8 in a Watsonians jersey, I'd be pretty nervous right now, the way that Heriot scrum has been, and I think they're going to go in the attack here.
Hey, nine. Calm down. Crouch!
Yes, I think the first thing that Heriots will be considering here is can they drive that Watsonians pack back over their own try line.
Right, front rows, come this way.
Leishman will be licking his lips, the captain at number 8.
Listen,
The referee wants a quick word with the front rows.
You guys have done this a long time. Too much. I've got to start penalising. Back in. Come on, let's go on with it. The calls haven't changed. Give yourself the space. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, George. Yeah.
Good for the match official as well, especially at this stage in the game, because I think this is going to be a really important scrum. It kind of needs to go to plan for the home side. They want it to go to plan as well. As long as it's a fair contest, they've got the upper hand. So I think they'll be welcoming that from the match official to make sure that things are steady ahead of this next collision up front.
Fine. Set.
Freddie Gibson standing with ball in hand.
Penalty advantage.
They won a penalty, the referee playing advantage here. Not sure that Heriots will need it. They're just inches away from the try line. Pick and go, the referee awards the try. We'll just see who is up last, but it's the power of that Heriots pack. Initially from the scrum, and as the set piece broke up. And it's Jason Hill who's instrumental in the attack inside the 22. And the veteran blindside flanker in for Heriot's opening score.
It was almost fortunate there from Watsonians, but the outstretched arm, you see here just coming up there from the match official, just showing that the advantage was coming. A little bite at the line, and you'll see McLaren was instrumental in this as well, just latching on to Hill, just allowing a bit of protection from players looking to try and get round underneath and get under the ball, but also that added impetus from a sizeable character to get them over the try line. And it was a matter of time. It was a matter of getting in the right positions for Heriots. I think at half time we were speaking about how they were going to approach the game. They had to be playing in that kind of 22 metre area of Watsonians, and then eventually they're able to crash over, and this could be a big kick as well for Jones.
Ross Jones again just curls that ball round beautifully. Up go the flags. It's Heriot 7, Watsonians 12, with about 24 minutes left to play here at Goldenacre.
Who said take the 3 points? It was, I think, fortunate in the end as well. The way that the knock-on came from the line out allowed that scrum platform. We did say in commentary that they would have probably welcomed that set piece. And in the end, although it didn't go probably as prescribed, they were just able to barge their way over the line, which is a real staple of this Heriot side. They're able to exit downfield as well.
Well, that's brought the Heriots faithful to life. Getting behind their side here.
I don't need any more.
It's been a long time coming. 55 minutes it took Heriots to cross the Watsonians try line. The home side very much back in the game. Pritchard goes long to Neil Irvin Hess, and it's Watsonians again for now on the attack, just on the Heriot side of halfway. As McAlpine hits Craig Davidson. Bagot, the Coutser, it's through the hands to Owsley again. He's the danger man for Watsonians, and I think both sides aware of that. Heriot's looking to shut down the space available for the Watsonians fullback, and likewise Watsonians trying to get the ball into the hands of their fullback. That's good play, good hands by Watsonians under pressure. Loman McPherson again, is Irvin Hess alongside him. Irvin Hess with the clear out in his opposite number, Leishman. Knocked on though by Watsonians as they were building pressure, working their way towards the 22. And Heriots will have themselves a scrum. Both sides looking very dangerous with ball in hand. Let's have another look at that one.
Yeah, good work from McPherson, but in the build-up, Bagot, just to tip that ball on in the close exchanges, allowed that space out wide. Got a really good build-up play from the Watsonians' backs. You know, that could have easily been floated over the top and allowed Heriots to drift across, but it just didn't happen that way. And it looks like there's wholesale changes as well. There's a full front row replacement for Watsonians, and it does look like it's going to be Angus Munro and Struan Sethford, and also Malachi Keogh are on the bench, just warming up, ready to come on for the home side. So there will be changes imminent, but it'll be, I think this has more been forced from the Watsonians coaching staff. Bring on a fresh front row, because I think the gauges are pretty low in the players that have went for the first 60 minutes.
Yes, Davidson, Pritchard and McGinley all done well, but as they're tiring, perhaps just struggling up against a powerful Heriots 8, and holding firm with the new front row in place: Carl Davis, Cole Lamberton and Tom Gracie. Heriots through Freddie Gibson, looking to set up the exit into the wind, just chips that ball over the top in the direction of Loman McPherson.
Tackles made.
As well, in come the hands from Heriots, but this is on the Watsonian side. Carl Davis screaming for the ball. It's going out wide to the backs, and again Freddie Owsley takes that pass from Dom Coetzer, the inside centre. Back to Seb Cecil. And Watsonians just looking for space for now down the blind side, stretching that Heriots defence across the pitch. Good interplay there between forwards and backs, and again good quick ruck speed threaded through by Dom Coetzer. Has to roll that ball into touch inside the 22. Ross Jones now under pressure, didn't have time to get the kick away, and he'll be bundled into touch.
Well, he's down and then you've dragged him out. Tackle's complete.
That's a big, well, about to say a big gain in territory, but actually the referee's saying that the tackle was complete, and after that Watsonians dragged Jones into touch when they should have released the fly half. So it's Heriots' penalty. Yeah, you can see it there. He got his knees to the ground really early. Good play, good awareness there from Jones. That is, let me assure everybody, that is 100% on purpose, that move, to make sure that he drops his knees and gets to ground. And then he was hoisted up and drifted off the field of play. But it was good play from Coetzer beforehand, because what he's doing is he's looking at the space in behind and he's making sure that he's trying to pin Heriots back in yet again. So it was good play from both sides, but streetwise from Jones, you'd say, to make sure that they can kick downfield and relieve the pressure. And I think the changes now have been made for Heriot.
Got 3 off.
It's going to see Angus Munro, Struan Sethford
and
Malachi Keogh
the 3 players are off.
coming on to the pitch. Both props replaced.
Time's back on.
Then also Patrick Spence, I think the last player to be replaced in the as well.
Your own man.
So Watsonians through Carl Davis. Jason Bagot to Coetzer, in behind to Loman McPherson, the right wing popping up on the left. Owsley gets the hands through the tackle, tries to find his left wing.
Leave him.
And that move breaking down.
Okay, time off. Hold this, Mark. Yeah, time's off.
Yeah, Watsonians again doing well just to move the ball. I feel that they move the ball a bit quicker and they fix defenders a bit more efficiently than what Heriots have done so far. I think Heriots allow this Watsonians defence to drift a little too often. but you can see the game plan from Watsonians is to try and get the ball into the wide channel as quick as possible, with as much space for Freddie Owsley as possible as well, because you know he's such a dangerous player, and not just when he's got 10-15 metres to run into, but when it's only a couple of metres. He's a strong physical character. He carries the ball really aggressively, really hard to take down with, and he's got his legs pumping.
Great, time's back on.
But just on that occasion, just not able to wriggle away from the defender, and ball not going to hand. But Watsonians will be relatively settled in this position, you know, defending a scrum inside Heriot's territory.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
So Heriot's scrum
okay,
just on their own 10-metre line. But Ross Jones then getting whipped out into the wide channels. Dan King threads that ball through into the path of George Cool. Well, it evaded everybody, bounces into touch. It'll be a Watsonians line out. Again, they find themselves back about 30 metres from their try line.
Yeah, you can see what they do as well. You can see Freddie Owsley comes up to that winger position to defend, and you feel that Josh Mitchell had just let that ball bounce in front of him, and as soon as that ball's coming towards the ground, you're not going to know what traction it's going to get, and it just had a little gallop and a kick away from him.
Okay.
Good line out from Watsonians. Carl Davis finding Neil Everett-Hess at the back, and again just thumped off downfield, landed just in front of Dan King, bounced up nicely into the arms of the Heriot's fullback.
Still in, yep.
Thumping tackle by Carl Davis, the replacement hooker. Watsonians. Struan Cessford, I think, there with no number on his back. First involvement in the game. Well, Heriot somehow finding their way through that Watsonians defence up into the 22, and Watsonians hurriedly trying to reorganise here as Heriot's go down the blind side. Back it comes to the forwards.
No touch!
So Heriot's looking to build on that try, trailing by 5 points. About 16 minutes left to play here. Out again to Dan King, but it's been intercepted by Jason Bagot. Now does he have the pace? He's got 2 men with him, and Watsonians will score. Nobody will catch Jason Bagot. And as Heriot's look to pounce inside the Watsonians 22, the intercept from the Watsonians co-captain Jason Bagot, and he goes over unopposed and ducks down under the posts. And a hugely important score in the context of this game, and Watsonians lead by 17 points to 7.
Yeah, the Heriot's players still getting under the posts and jogging back, such as the depth of their attack initially inside Watsonians territory, but Jason Bagot just read that. He knew exactly where that ball was going, he knew exactly where to position himself, and even just have the strength just to rip it out of the challenge. Excellent play from that man there, the fly half, Jason Bagot. And how many times have we seen it? I feel like over the last 5 years there's highlight reels of Bagot either intercepting or galloping in for important tries at this level of rugby. And he's done it yet again for his side. An important kick to come as well, but the easiest one of the day so far.
Jason Bagot catches his breath, bangs over the conversion, and that re-establishes the 12-point advantage that Watsonians held at half-time.
Yeah, see here, Heriot's just trying to go wide, and just in that little cluster of bodies there, Bagot, red-booted Bagot, was able to position himself in the right area, and he is no slouch as well.
14's off at my side, Bob, if you've got 9 and 10.
A dangerous player previously in the sevens format as well, so he's got pace, he's got awareness, and he's got the engine to go the distance.
Well, Heriot's having fought themselves back into this game and threatening to score again inside the Watsonians 22, hoping to take the lead, suddenly find themselves trailing by 12 points. Watsonians with 3 tries, 1 in reply from Heriot's. And do Heriot's have a reply, or can Watsonians see out the closing 14 minutes? I get a sense that there's still plenty more to happen in this game. It's been played at a frantic pace, so we'll surely see players tiring. Big tackle again though. Watsonians coming forward to meet Rory Leishman, the Heriot's captain. A double change at half-back for Heriot's, with both Freddie Gibson and Ross Jones leaving the field of play. St John Broad and Christian Townsend on. And there is St John Broad, numberless jersey, out to another player wearing no number on his jersey, Struan Sesford. I don't think we'll get the two mixed up though. And then Christian Townsend sends the ball downfield. Paul Christian as well over in the right wing for Zach Ross. That's a Heriot's penalty.
Hold it.
Yeah, I think the change is almost enforced from the Heriot's to try something different. I think Jones has really been able to get his team in the right positions. And I think Gibson's also been pretty slow in terms of getting the ball away quick enough to really make an impact with the forwards. You feel a little bit more tempo, and you feel that those big runners that Heriot's have might be able to make a bit of an impact, but I don't think Heriot's are going to get back into this game anytime soon if they're missing touch from the penalty. A weak effort there, and it's just going to allow Watsonians a chance to play out their own danger zone.
Well, a little risky, but the ball makes its way to Dom Coetzer. He won't find touch. Instead, into the arms of Dan King. Finds Thomas Glendinning out there on the left wing now for Heriot's. Back it comes to Sesford. Dips the shoulder, but taken in a low tackle by Neil Irvin Hess. Townsend now looking for space inside and finds it. George Cool up into the 22. Heriot's about 10 metres out now, looking to play quickly. St John Broad, there's numbers out here on the left. Linus, nice hands out to his open side flanker Rory Kirkpatrick, bundled into touch. That's a good Heriot's attack, but the Watsonians defence up to the task.
Yeah, brilliant covering defence there, but it's just a little touch here from Townsend. He just is able to square up the defender and allow a little bit of space there for Cool just to get in behind. It's perhaps something that Jones wasn't doing in the first 65 minutes of this game, and there was numbers up there that done all the right things. Heriot's fixing the man, trying to get it through the hands and provide the ball in a bit of space, but Ronan Kerr getting across brilliantly there for Watsonians.
Are you making sub?
And I think we're going to see Stuart Allison and Josh Minty come on.
Number 6
for Watsonians.
6 and 7.
And it's going to be the back, I think it's McTaggart.
Just wait till we get this right.
And Seb Cecil coming off for the visitors, going heavy on the forwards on the bench.
At the back. Just hold, Bob,
yes,
hold
Seb Cecil just making his way down in front of us, back to the Watsonians technical area through a power of work as ever. The blindside flanker, formerly of Nottingham and Sale. However, quick tap, penalty there, and the try's been awarded, and it's Jamie Campbell. The Heriot's lock, again, gives Heriot's a lifeline in this one. 11 minutes left to play. It's Heriot's 12, Watsonians 19. Jamie Campbell, the try scorer.
Yeah, great awareness and great time as well. We'll see here from the line out, just not going to plan, free kick happening, and look at the pace and the awareness there from Campbell. The Watsonians players just not able to get back quick enough, and then Space Jam-esque reach to the line with the ball in hand. You see, he had the ball in hand anyway, he's probably going in for a score anyway, but he had to go back and take the free kick. And powers over the line. Great position there from the match official David Young to see that it had been scored, and now, my oh my, this is a big kick for Dan King.
So Dan King 15 metres in from the stand side touchline.
No.
Well, he seemed to catch that one nicely, and the assistant referees had a quick glance at each other, but the flags stay down, so 7 points the difference between the sides. Let's have another look at this try.
Time's off.
Yeah, you just see there, just a quick free kick taken there by Campbell. Good awareness from the second row. You know, he grabbed the ball from the miscued line out but then it came back for the free kick, and he just went over the line. There was a big cheer of yes from the stands in front of us, and I thought it was because he caught it cleanly, but perhaps it was a Watsonians fan who knew it was drifting towards the wrong side of the uprights. Campbell is getting a little bit of afters as well. His wrist currently getting taped just behind the halfway line. Obviously taking a sore one after scoring that try, but a great awareness. You know, it's quite easy just to settle and not take the initiative yourself, but you see here Carl Davis just not able to hit his target, and it's Campbell that's got it. He's got to go back a couple of metres, take the quick free kick. That can quite easily, you take it from the wrong position, rush of blood to the head, and the referee scraps it, and you have to then reset again. But you know, you look at all the Watsonians players, they're not able to get back quick enough. There wasn't a free running, he had still had to barge over the line, but it was good work from the second row.
Okay, things back on, all behind, on you.
So, looks like about 9.5 minutes left to play here at Goldenacre. Heriot's 12, Watsonians 19, and this of course sets up the tantalising possibility of us going into extra time. Watsonians, though, ball doesn't go into touch. Bagot again looking to play the game down inside Heriot's territory. He couldn't have judged that much better. He'll claim that it's exactly where he meant to bounce it. That must have just been an inch or two inside the field of play, and forces Heriot's back to about 10 metres from their try line.
Yeah, he's got a couple of pats in the back, and no wonder. I don't think he could have placed it better on the pitch if he tried. You know, that just takes, you know, just a little bit more effort, a little bit more power, and you're back here again, and you're giving the incentive to Heriots to go for the attack. They're having to try and think about, you know, making sure they are squeaky clean here, hitting their targets at the line out and not inviting any pressure. And Bagot, the man with that breakaway try.
Well, a misfiring Watsonians line out just handed Heriot's their second try. They'll be looking to put pressure on the Linus throw here. Oh, it doesn't go to hand, and it's pounced upon by Conor McAlpine almost over the try line. Referee playing an advantage. Pick and go. And Watsonians forwards keeping things tight for here.
Advantage over for the knock-on.
Referee says advantage over for the knock-on.
Use the line.
The troops massing here for Watsonians.
Shot!
Driving hard into that Heriot's defence, strung across their own try line. The forwards again going very close. Referee
release!
Having a look. Quagga van Niekerken. It's hands on ball. Well, he tried to shift the point of contact there. Ball not knocked on. Dom Coetzer tries to dance his way through, but dealt with well by Thomas Glendinning. Well, the referee was playing an advantage for the knock-on, which he said was over. That there's I think perhaps an offside penalty in there now.
Yeah, I think that's what it was given for.
Captain, use the line.
And I think they're going to tap and go here. Davis taking it quickly.
Tackle release!
Carl Davis has to fight hard to get the ball back, and then in come Heriot's hands. Quagga van Niekerken, it's out to the back division. Hurriedly trying to get it out wide. They sense the space is there, but can't quite get it through the hands. It's been knocked on though by Heriot. So it will be a Watsonian scrum. Frantic from both sides. Watsonians sensing an opportunity to put this game to bed. And Heriot's desperate defence.
Not every situation's the same.
Yeah, just getting a little bit scrappy, desperate from Heriot's. Know that they can ill afford to concede here, and trying to throw anything in the road of any balls that are getting fired out from that breakdown. And there's going to be a replacement. The second rows are going to replace themselves. So the starting second rows. So Spence back on for Campbell, the try scorer.
Watsons, let's go.
Well, when the penalty is given, from a Watsonian's point of view, you just feel they've probably got to take the sting out of it a little bit. I think Davis probably was a bit premature to take it as quickly. Have a little bit of deliberation, speak about what their options are. It has resulted in a scrum now, but with the margins so fine.
Yes, that was very kickable. If they'd wanted to just extend that out to a 10 points difference.
Crouch!
Obviously felt that they had the upper hand.
Fine.
They have another opportunity this time from the scrum. It's a difficult one for Heriot to defend. Bagot station behind, could go either way. 3 men on the right hand side here for Watsonians.
It's a great point about the kickable penalty, because I was more thinking about the pace that they were playing it. But you know, with 7 points, that's when we were talking before about playing it more like a cup game than playing rugby and making sure that you just win. It doesn't matter how you win, as long as you get over the line.
Yes, because a converted Heriot's try levels the scores and takes this game into extra time.
Let's push now.
So 6 minutes remaining in this playoff semi-final. A try here for Watsonians. You feel we leave Heriots with too much to do. Pressure comes on at scrum time by Heriots. Dom Coutser quickly through the hands. That's a good carry, and Watsonians again 2 or 3 metres short of the try line. Neil Irvin Hess asking for the ball on this side. Shut down quickly by Kirkpatrick. Good defence by the Heriots back row. Again, Watsonians will just keep things tight through the forwards, look to score or narrow that Heriots defence, looking to come back to the right. Neil Irvin Hess again, and the co-captain over for the try, and that could well be the try that takes Watsonians to the Premiership final. Both co-captains instrumental. Jason Bagot with the 3rd try, and now it's number 8 Neil Irvin Hess.
Felt like he was in the way.
It was patient from Watsonians. It was exactly what was needed. They were picking and going round the corner. McAlpine done a great job initially getting the ball away from that scrum. He was under immense pressure. He's been phenomenal for the first 75 minutes of this game, and he was just able to see that there was a runner there, there was a gap. You see the amount of Heriot's players flooding round to that right hand side. Look at the congestion there at that breakdown. McAlpine knows there's space somewhere, and they were just far too tight. Leishman and Hill there in defence, far too tight, and it allowed that opportunity for Irvin Hess just to burrow his head and shoulders in between the 2 players and carry himself over the line. And we're talking about the 3 points. That's twice that's happened to us this afternoon, Bruce. Take the 3 points and one of the teams gets a try.
That's good heads up rugby though, you've got to say, by Watsonians. I think Heriots were just expecting them to try and batter down the door. Jason Bagot missed to curl that one round nicely. I'm not sure if you could hear the crowd there, but they were rather amazed by the kick there by Jason Bagot. Sent it across, almost past the posts, angled it back round, through between the uprights. Another quick look at this try.
Yeah, you see the players folding round towards that right hand side, and it just left an abundance of space, and it was the conversion from Bagot. You heard that? You heard somebody sarcastically shout like, "Oh!" as soon as it came off the boot, and then I don't think from the stand you can really appreciate the wind down there, and he just caught it perfectly.
But yes, we're saying good heads up rugby. I think the previous attempt, Watsonians had kept things tight arguably too long, and Heriots just expected the same approach there and didn't quite get their defensive shape right as Heriots make a change. That looks like Michael Linus coming off, and I think sadly for him that will be his last appearance in Heriots colours. He's been a great servant for the club.
Yeah, he has been. Perhaps not his finest performance with the conditions here. But yeah, he'll be a disappointing character going off, but you can look back on what has been a fine career at Goldenacre and elsewhere as well.
Balls out.
So Heriots 12, Watsonians 26, and just over 2 minutes left on the clock here. So it would appear that Watsonians have secured their place in the final, looking for another try. Out it goes to the left wing as the sun shines again on Goldenacre. Sesford up offside there. Over eager in the Heriots defence. Play goes on back to Bagot. Flips the ball out to Carl Davis, the replacement hooker. Tackle made by Malachi Keogh of the Heriots replacements. Bagot to Coutser. Roman McPherson just got in front of his inside centre. Bagot again heavily involved in the action in the last 10 minutes or so. Carl Davis picks up a bouncing ball and just lifts it back inside to Tom Gracie. And Watsonians will be happy to just go through phases here, run down the clock, almost into the last minute. Conor McAlpine again to
30 seconds.
Carl Davis. And I think I heard the referee just say 30 seconds there, so Watsonians will just keep this with the forwards. Huge amount of space over on the left if they fancy another try. Out it goes to Freddie Owsley. And Josh Mitchell set up the second try for Owsley with a beautifully weighted kick through. Play on halfway. Heriot's desperately trying to get hands on ball, but it's still with Watsonians, and they do manage to find space down that left hand touchline. This will be the icing on the cake, and it's Josh Mitchell who goes in for what's Watsonians' 5th try of the game. The game already put to bed. But Josh Mitchell, we just mentioned, had set up the second try for Freddie Owsley, and now bags one of his own.
Yeah, it was great awareness, great offload there. I think that was from Lewis' ball, and he just was able to release Mitchell in some space. He's had a great impact off the bench. An early replacement for Xander Walls, who was in the wars. And I think that's perhaps, you know, it has certainly put the icing on the top of the cake for Watsonians. Perhaps you've got to say, perhaps the scoreline flatters them. I think they weren't this much better than Heriot's. The difference is they've taken their opportunities. I think they've managed the game really well. They've played to their strengths. I think perhaps it's a matter of the fact that I think Watsonians have been able to deal with Heriot's forwards, but Heriot's backs have not been able to deal with Watsonians' backs, and I think that's pretty much what it boils down to. Watsonians have been on the ropes for long periods of this game, but they've had the answers for Heriot. And then it comes down to this final kick from Bagot.
So from out wide on the left hand side, Jason Bagot unsuccessful with the final conversion attempt, but it matters not from a Watsonians perspective. A clinical second half performance from the visitors, beaten here, remember, back in January by 42 points to 20. With 3 second half tries to add to the 2 in the first half, proving just too much for a Heriot side who could only cross the try line on 2 occasions. An enthralling encounter in this first playoff semi-final in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership, and it's Watsonians who will progress to the final on the 26th of April. And as you say, Dale, it perhaps flattered them, the scoreline, but I don't think you could argue well worth the win in the end.
Yeah, you know, that's pretty much wraps it up there, Bruce. I think the Watsonians overall 80 minutes the better team. They were trailing them in the league. You know, they finished in 3rd position, but when it comes to this, it's cup rugby, and I absolutely love it. I think it adds a spice to the league. You've got to perform for the full campaign, and Watsonians are in the final. You know, and they've shown their worth here this afternoon. They looked better than Heriot in most of the game. There was really key areas that Heriots were a little bit better than Watsonians in, but overall Watsonians took their chances. I think they played phenomenally well. The full squad effort as well. I think the impact of the bench of Josh Mitchell was critical for the visitors. But for 79.5 minutes it was an entertaining game. The last 30 seconds from that, it was an excellent game of rugby.
So confirmation of the full-time score: Heriot's Rugby 12, Watsonians 31. And it is Watsonians who progress to the final. As Watsonians take the congratulations of the Heriot's team, we can have a quick look back at second half highlights. So we can let's just have a look at the players leaving the field. Heriot's. Well, let's have a look here at the tries. Freddie Owsley, who was a real handful all day.
Yeah, this is the try for Loma McPherson. This is the first try of the afternoon's fixture. Owsley instrumental in the full 80 minutes for Watsonians, to be fair, but this is a textbook Freddie Owsley. You know, he's already running, he's already galloping, he knows where he's going to be targeting. Goes on the outside of Kirkpatrick, back inside, and as well fixing the last defender. You know, that is, you know, that's the basic rugby that you're coached at a young age, and it allows McPherson an easy score to gallop in.
Well, and the teams had traded punches, because that try didn't come until the 36-minute mark, but 2 minutes later Freddie Owsley was in for the second. Yeah,
there was a replacement there from Josh Mitchell. He was brought onto the field of play to replace Xander Walls, and he made an instant impact. He was only on the field of play for a couple of minutes, and this ball floated into the wider channels. He kept his head up, he's looking back in field, and this delicate, cute little grubber kick forward just finds a galloping Owsley. He can just gather the ball and saunter in for a score. Jones, all he can do is watch him ground the ball.
Jason Bagot successful with the conversion attempt of the Owsley try, and Watsonians led by 12 points to 0 at half time, but 15 minutes into the second half it was Jason Hill who pounced for Heriots.
Yeah, and you know, this ends up in a try, but I think it underscores one of the real flaws in Heriot's game today. The line out never went to plan. This ended up coming from a knock on from Watsonians. They were able to get the scrum crumbles, but eventually Heriots were close enough to the line that they were able to muscle their way over, and you can see Hill, number 6, stooping down, grabs the ball, and then McLaren just able to nudge him over the line.
Ross Jones kicked the conversion and narrowed the gap to 5 points, but perhaps the try that knocked the stuffing out of Heriots was this interception from Jason Bagot that had the pace to go in under the posts.
Yeah, and round of applause to the camera worker there to find the fact that Bagot arrived with the ball, because it was a whole cluster of bodies, and that is a great angle of him galloping in. It probably doesn't do justice to the length of the run that you had to put in, but Heriots were on the attack. They were trying to really pepper that line, and just in that little bit of a mix up there from the Heriots attackers, it was that man there, Bagot, who arrived with the ball on the scene and just scooped in his right arm. He's powering towards that line, and he was pivotal as well. You know, he was a real mainstay in everything key about Watsonians today.
Converted his own try, but Heriots were not done yet. That was the line out. Didn't work for either side today, and then the quick thinking of Jamie Campbell in the second row.
Yeah, sometimes you can play badly and still win games, and you felt it might have been Heriot's day there when something like that happens. You can see him gathering the ball. The referee's already blasted the whistle, but to go back and quickly take that free kick is really smart play from the second row. He didn't last long after that, had to succumb to a wrist injury, but it brought Heriot's back into it.
Well, then Neil Irvine-Hess, both co-captains, getting themselves on the scoreboard today. Watsonians, I think, dragging the Heriots defence in very tight, and as we said in commentary, playing heads up rugby, just shifting the ball a bit wider, and Neil Irvine-Hess, the number 8, goes over.
You can see here McAlpine just finds a space on the blind side there. The Heriots players all filtering round, just left a little gap, and it allowed Irvine-Hess to go in. He'll be smiling a little bit more after that. He was given Loma McPherson a little bit of an earache earlier on, and then it culminated with this final try of this afternoon, and it was that man Josh Mitchell. Thoroughly impressed with his impact off the bench, and I think a try is just rewards for his efforts. He goes in for the try. It was well offloaded there by Ball as well, who just picks the ball at the base. A one-armed offload into the path of Mitchell. Great footwork to evade King as well, and arcs his run. You can see there George Cool just not able to get back in time, and it meant 31 points to 12 Watsonians win. That's a formidable victory, and it gets them into the final.
Yes, Watsonians winners 5 tries to 2, and winners 31 points to 12 on the road at Heriots. So Heriots finishing second, losing only 3 times in the regular season. Watsonians losing 7, but as you say, Dale, it's not everybody's cup of tea, playoff rugby. Like you, I absolutely love it. And Watsonians picking up the win here at Goldenacre, which takes them to the final. Who will they face? Ayr and Curry Chieftains, the holders, going head to head at Millbrae on the 19th of April. Well, that's it for our coverage today. But join us again in 3 weeks for that final of the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership. Saturday 26 April, kick-off at 4:30 PM. And until then, from all of us here at Goldenacre, thank you for watching.